GG!
Oh my god, my dad is a streamer! My dad is a streamer!
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the Modern Gamer Podcast. As always, we have an amazing guest today with us. I'll let him introduce himself shortly. I'm Amar, as always, your host. And today with me is Paul. So, Paul, I'll get straight into it and give you a bit of time to introduce yourself, please.
Yeah, sure. It's a pleasure being here, Amar. Very, very nice to meet you. My name is, I used to start by saying my mother is from Poland and my dad is from the Philippines. And my name is actually Paul Philip. It's kind of funny. There you go. I'm born and raised in Stockholm. Basically, I don't know if you want my CV, but basically, shortly, I went to music school. I've studied media and communication studies and politics, and I've been working with public relations and public affairs and politics and business advice and development for quite a while. I have 2 kids, a 9-year-old boy. He's a big gamer. His dream is to be, a YouTuber or Cristiano Ronaldo. I don't know. It's different day to day.
Whatever pays better.
Yeah. And then I have a daughter also. She's 8. And my wife and 2 cats. And I live in Stockholm, Sweden. Yeah. Wow. And I've been gaming pretty much all my life.
Wow, that sounds great, and I can't wait to dive a bit more into it. So, let's maybe first start with you and your gaming history and how you actually started even gaming.
Sure. So my dad, he was always he's still alive, but he was always very much into technology. He was a photographer. He always had the latest stuff, So I don't actually really remember playing it, but I think our first console was like an Atari.
Nice.
Yeah, I remember it being at home. I don't remember playing it. My first memories are the what do you call it in English? NES, N-E-S.
Of course.
8-bit
Nintendo Entertainment System,
sure.
Right?
So there was Super Mario Brothers, of course.
Mm-hmm.
Played that a lot. I think I thought it was hilarious was my mother's sister's husband. He was quite old. He's passed away now. Rest in peace. When he would play with me, he would follow, sometimes you get that extra life mushroom. And he would just run after it. And if it went down in the hole, he'd go there and die. And it was the funniest thing for me when I was 6 years old or 5. Yeah. And another Nintendo game that really, really hits the nostalgia for me is Gradius or Gradius.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I don't know if you're gonna cut this. You can overlay the music from it. It's like da 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 da.
Oh wow!
Maybe we get back to that. But the games were so hard back then. I mean, they were basically impossible beyond 2-3 levels.
Lion King.
Yeah,
Do you remember that?
It was a challenge. Games today are just about drawing you in and making you, addicted. But anyway,
it's making you pay.
Yeah, exactly. Pay to win. So, that Nintendo, a lot of that. Then, of course, Sega Mega Drive came. A lot of Sonic, Sonic 2. I don't remember. It was Mega Man in Sega. Maybe it was Super Nintendo. I don't know.
It was Super Nintendo, if I remember correctly. Mega Man just came almost, so to say, recently to other consoles. That's not just Nintendo. Although I might be mistaken, I'm 100% sure.
Yeah, I think it's Konami made it. But anyway, Super Nintendo, Sega Mega Drive, played a lot of the first Mario Kart, some Yoshi game, Super Mario, I guess. Yeah, the second one came to the NES, and then we had, I think, third or Super Mario World, something like that. And that was a big. I'm born in 1987, so we're in the 90s. Then, of course, the huge thing was Nintendo 64. I mean, 3D worlds. That was insane.
It was game breaking.
Yeah, I thought those graphics was just like, wow, we're the.
And also 4-player, right?
Yeah, that was huge.
64 could actually have 4 controllers at the same time.
I remember I went with my mom and we were standing in line outside of the shop, really waiting, and I got that. And of course, Super Mario 64, I guess it's just called like that, Super Mario 64.
I think, yes, it was like the special edition, like 3D
I still believe
and everything.
That's one of the best games ever made. It's so nice. It's big. It's funny. It's challenging. A lot of secrets in that big castle. I really love that. And then what really kicked off sort of the FPS genre was GoldenEye.
Oh, yeah.
You play
Oh,
that a
yeah.
lot? How old are you, by the
Yeah.
way?
I am 89, so I'm 35. So like 2 years
Yeah, we're
difference
the
between you
same.
and I.
Same
Exactly.
generation.
But
Yeah,
I
GoldenEye.
remember,
Oh, sorry.
sorry, I interrupt. I remember GoldenEye because I didn't have like a Nintendo 64, but at that time it was really popular to have like places who had lots of consoles. You could like go there and play something like internet cafes or like game bunks.
Right.
And actually a place where you would go to rent movies
Yeah.
had like in their basement had like lots of these consoles, and that's how I actually saw GoldenEye first, and I played the hell out of it.
Yeah.
I think I spent most of my childhood in that place.
Yeah, same here. And a lot of friendships were, broken, but then amended again. We
Exactly.
discovered all the cheat codes. You could have the paintball stuff, and I mean, looking back now, I mean, I still have it, and we plugged it in, and I was like, these graphics are so clunky. Like, how could we even see
That's
anything?
something I remember definitely. I thought it was much more
back
fluid.
then, yeah, you remember it like, wow, this is the NASA science level. This is the
Exactly.
best.
Exactly. Yeah,
And
so
then,
true.
yeah, Zelda, Ocarina of Time.
Never played Zelda.
yeah.
Have to be completely honest. Never played Zelda.
I've only played that one, so I'm almost like you. But that was really beautiful. It was the atmosphere, the music, the scenery, nature. It was really beautiful. First, let's see. In internet, there was some weird jungle game called Turok. I think that
Turok, I
franchise
know.
kind of died, but that was also
True.
really cool. It was kind of scary and mystical. You were in the jungle.
Like many, definitely. So those were like your early days.
Those were
really
my
filled
early days.
with lots of platformers, if I recall. Like, are you the same still, like in the later stages?
No, not really. I just followed along. I mean, my friend had a PlayStation. And it was already back then, like today we have Apple or, Android or Apple Samsung. They were all this rivalry, but we'd play together. We played a lot of fighting games as well. So Mortal Kombat 2, learned all those like finish him combos, Street Fighter, those scare games. Like, I don't think I would let my son play this game now, but back then we played the Dino Crisis and Resident Evil.
Yeah. Especially Resident Evil, I think it was 3, the Nemesis one. I hated the fact like it was almost at the start of the game. You just like change the screen, immediately he's chasing you. Yeah. And I thought I have to fight him, but no, you actually have to escape. I died so many times to him. I hated the game.
But then the huge paradigm shift was, of course, the first PC. And a little bit of background here. Sweden, I think the Swedish government actually did a very clever thing back then. They realized early that, the internet and computers was going to be big. So they actually subsidized with taxpayer money, made it possible for a lot of people in Sweden to buy a home PC quite cheaply. It was like half the price, or you rent it and then you can buy it or something like that. And especially if you worked for the government or the municipality, you have a public sector job like my mom did, you get an even bigger discount, something like that. So everyone got PCs. That was huge. So that was a whole new world for me. I was programming websites in HTML. we were chatting on ICQ and MSN Messenger later. And then that was a big strategy game was Command and Conquer Red Alert.
Oh yeah, definitely.
That was huge. I remember struggling with one of the levels, and I went, the internet was not big back then. You didn't have 300 walkthroughs, or YouTube.
And 50,000 YouTubers telling you how to play.
So if you get stuck in a game, you were kind of screwed. You'd look to the booklet in the box, like, okay. So I went to my mom, like, Mom, I'm stuck on this level. And she said, well, just call the place where we bought it. And that's just like, like a Walmart. They sell everything, their clothes. They don't have tech support for games. But I called them, and it was so funny because Red Alert was so huge. So the guy I was talking to actually had played it. He was like, wow, I'm not sure if I can help you, but I know what you're talking about. And what you had to do you had to go with a grenadier around and throw like a grenade over a wall, and there were some oil barrels there, and then you would blow up the base and you could go in. So Red Alert,
but that interaction back then is amazing. Yeah. Like many games even now don't have such interactions with the environment.
Yeah, a lot of games are like pretty railroaded, right? Yeah, you don't have to do any thinking. There's even these mobile games called idle games,
Yeah,
You
I
know,
never understood those.
you have zero space for a personal playstyle. Everybody just pushes all the buttons all the same, and everything's happened at the same
True.
time, and it's extremely
Exactly.
pay to win.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, let's go back to the first PC. We played
Mm-hmm.
Counter-Strike, of course, Half-Life.
Of course.
And I remember we forced our moms to put the computers, they were big things back then, you know, put them in
Yeah,
the
of
car.
course. With the CRT monitors and everything.
Yeah, everything. And we tried to play some LAN games, Red Alert. And what we did back then, we didn't have Wi-Fi. We didn't have like routers or maybe some tech savvy people had. We didn't. We were like 12. We would just plug in the cord directly from one PC to another. And I remember, you know, if we were having a sleepover, half the time was just doing like IT troubleshooting to make it work. And then it finally worked, and it was huge.
True. Yeah. I mean, I remember my New Year's actually being spent with my friends. My father would go to them, pick up their PCs, pick them up, and we would have a New Year, which is essentially just us playing on LAN the whole night. And those were one of the best New Year's I ever had.
Of course.
Especially because back then we used to play Warcraft 3. And if you remember, like Warcraft 3 had so many mods. I mean, Dota actually came from Warcraft 3.
Yeah.
And we would play those like tower defense games. We would even play Dota. It was amazing. And I kind of miss that sort of community feeling because right now, as you said, everything is railroaded. Everything is just made for you to press buttons in a certain order. And that's it. You don't even play the game as a gamer and try to figure stuff out because everything is already figured out to you.
Yeah.
You have like early accesses and everything.
Especially mobile games, I guess.
True.
Well, yeah, when you said that, I also remember there was usually my mom there, you know, she's Polish. It's like the same culture in the Balkans. We had huge parties every Christmas or New Year's Eve, but sometime, I don't know, something happened and we couldn't, we were just staying at home and we'd get into that. But I was playing World of Warcraft and it was cool. There was this unique feeling to be online with all the other nerds around the world or maybe Europe. Everyone was in the game at New Year's Eve and there was fireworks and it might sound stupid for someone who hasn't experienced it, but it was special. It was cool.
It was extremely special. I mean, I'll never forget the first time Onyxia died. It's like the whole server just exploded and like, congratulations. Then like Insidia would actually get to Ogrimmar. Everybody would line up just to see the gear, just to see like those epics and everything. Yeah, those things are really, really amazing memories. Like, as people would say, like core memories.
Yeah, exactly. And so, it was a lot of Red Alert, Counter-Strike, Battlefield came out then. So I veered a little bit more into the FPS genre. I kind of never became really good at it. But, you know, I was in a clan. We did some tournaments, but nothing serious.
Amazing.
And then, of course, Blizzard. So I'm wearing today my Magic the Gathering shirt here.
I see.
So outside of the screens, I'm also a big nerd when it comes to tabletop Magic games and Dungeons and Dragons. And we did live action role playing, like LARPing, you know.
Seriously?
So,
you have to tell me more about that.
Photos and basically how it works is this: the arrangers they plan out for 3 nights in the deep forest. And you can apply for it. And I'm so amazed. I hope it works the same today. So they write like the main story of the event.
Scenario.
Yeah. And what you do is you sit with your buddies and like you're doing Dungeons and Dragons, you create a character. Usually if it was your first time, you usually just played a human, whatever village person.
Rogue.
Or you had, you had elves, the good elves like Legolas. And then you had like the dark elves who were like all white with black hair and like they were the bad guys, orcs. Anyway, you do your backstory and you send it in. And I'm so amazed by the work of these persons. I don't know how many they were, maybe 10, 15 or 20 people. And then they read everyone's story and they weave it in to the main story. So you have like the major plot and then you have a bunch of subplots. And if you're thinking World of Warcraft, you get a bunch of side quests and main quests to do. And just like 1 week before it's time to go, you got this thick letter in the mail. And it was just like, all right, so last week this happened to your group and you're really pissed off and you want to find this man, and you heard that he has some kind of artifact that you don't know what it is, but you have to find it, and that's your task for now. And then you would sew your own costumes. You would have these like rubber weapons that looked really like real swords and arrows with the soft thing on them. And, you know, it was hardcore. Like we had tents, we had all the survival gear. And then our moms would just drop us off in the forest. And that was it for 3 days. I mean, you never slept, like day and night. You were just out. And it's crazy because it's kind of live. It's all improv theater, right? It's like a movie that you're living in. And can you imagine 500 people?
Wow.
Maybe 300 people together doing this for 3 days. And I mean, when I talk about this, when I told friends in school, I mean, we were a group of nerds, but the other ones like, but how can you take it seriously? Like, don't you start laughing when, you know, someone shows up in a weird suit? And I think it's something with the human mind, right? Because it's like a mass psychosis. It's like you're in a cult. Like everyone are there. You're taking it super seriously. So your brain is like, all right, this is real, right? And the people who play the orcs, they would have like huge, ugly costumes. And, you know, it's quite famous. We have a disgusting, I kind of like it, but we have this delicacy in Sweden called surströmming, which is like rotten herring.
I know that.
Yeah, and there's a lot of stories like...
Did you just say that you like it?
Well, the smell is terrible. It smells like someone died. But the food, it's actually salty and sea, and you have it with a bunch of other stuff like cheese, and it's mostly for just drinking strong liquor together. It's like a tradition.
Of course.
Like every country has this. Anyway, the orcs would smear that shit on their armors, you know? So you're up there, we were like 14 years old. We were messing around in the woods. And the first thing we sense is that smell. And we're like, wow. Oh, shit, the orcs are here. And then they had these like red lamps because they had like eyes that shone red. And like, oh shit, I see them, you know. And you were just running. You didn't care if you were going to break a leg or get like a stick in your eye. You were just running for your life and you were literally scared, you know. So
oh my God.
That was outside of, you know, digital gaming. That was amazing. And then after a while, we kind of leveled up. So we wanted to be... We were like goblins. So yeah, we went to this like makeup store and we had big noses and big ears. We were all green and we became sort of like the comic relief of the whole, because there's a lot of politics, you know, the wood elves have their stuff going on. The dark elves have their stuff, the orcs, the humans. And there's this main big storyline that's being played out. But we were kind of like, we were five kids. We're like, yeah, we're walking around talking like this, you know? And everyone let us be. So they even sent us like messengers because they didn't dare going themselves because they could be assassinated. So they sent us with, and we thought that was funny, you know? And man, it was just like, for kids today, just live in the forest all 4 days. It was great. Like we were cooking our own food.
Wow, really?
Sometimes you get pissed off. You get tired, right? You had some fights. I have a couple of really funny stories. So one guy, his pants, like they tore open in his crotch. And we were sitting by the campfire. He was going to be a little bit, you know, like old school. And so he had the sewing kit. He was like sitting and sewing with his pants on like this, you know, because he that was his only pants. And then when he was going to go to bed, he took it off. He's like, guys, I attached my boxers to the pants.
Oh my God.
Shit like that would happen all the time. It's so funny. So yeah, and of course, a lot of role-playing, Dungeons and Dragons, just sitting there with paper. And the difference, I mean, the cool thing with role-playing, like tabletop role-playing, is all that stuff is like happening in your head, right?
True.
And if you have a vivid imagination, I think that's even cooler than the live action role playing because it's still kind of limited. Like if your costume is not that, if you didn't spend so much money on it. So yeah, and of course, Magic the Gathering. If I could just travel back in time and just buy so many cards, I'd be so rich now, man.
True. Some of them have such amazing value. Like, I mean,
I went through my cards and I found a card, a Lion's Eye Diamond. It was like broken. I had like messed it up. It was just like a piece of paper barely sticking together. I sold that for 80 euros, you know?
Wow.
Yeah. So did you do any like tabletop role playing or
So,
strategy games?
sadly, LARPing, no. Although I was always amazed by communities that actually can get people to do it. I mean, here in Balkans, it was never really popular.
Yeah.
But when it comes to tabletop, yes, but not in the early days. It's like something recently I started doing, mostly because I'm at a place where I can finally buy those tabletop games and I actually can find people to play with.
Yeah.
So, but I had like a guest here who's like an avid tabletop gamer, especially Dungeons and Dragons. And he explained to me all of those amazing scenarios, like Discord servers who are there where you can find people and play. And then all these different things that were happening to him. It's like real core memories. It's like as he's telling them, he's actually reliving them. And you see how he's joyful about it, how he like remembers everything. It's honestly so amazing. And when I think about it, and whenever I even speak to people who are tabletop gamers, especially like Dungeons and Dragons and like those types of RPG tabletop, so to say, they have had much more fun than gamers.
Yeah,
because they have much better memories.
Yeah, it's more. It's way more social, right? You're doing it together,
Exactly.
You're sitting around the table, and we were just talking about railroaded games. This is like the exact opposite. It's
Completely.
all up to you and your acting, improvisation, your imagination.
True. But one thing that we also noted is it is so much about your imagination, but it's also having a good dungeon master or game master, because they can make or break a session.
Yeah.
So that's also extremely important. And he was telling me about like the different game masters that he had and how some were amazing, some were just bad because they let their own ego play into the scenario, and that just sucks.
You have that in some communities, everywhere.
True.
Magic the Gathering community can be very toxic sometimes, especially to girls. Still, I think that's so stupid.
It is, and I will never understand why, because it's already a niche in itself. It's already hard to find people. And then the people that actually do come and are expressing interest, you're like, oh, no, go back to kitchen or something like those stupid comments, which are
very
just
weird.
It is.
I think in an international perspective, Sweden is kind of okay on this front. Like we have, we've always had like a strong history of like gender equality. And now when I guess we get into that, I don't have so much time for gaming now, but whenever I go online and play, let's say PUBG or something, and I hear a girl's voice or a woman's voice, I'm kind of shocked, because back in my day, it was just dudes. And the more I play, I realize this is completely normal. And you have tons of female streamers and gamers, and they're really good. And that makes me very happy. That's something, because it's like you're missing, from a marketing perspective, you want to sell games or you want to sell magic cards, like you're missing half your customer base. That's so stupid.
Exactly. You just decided to 50% of you. Nah, we don't want you. It doesn't make any sense, honestly.
And an example of tabletop, how important it is to have a good gaming leader. We have this prime example where you have to be good at describing stuff, right?
Of course.
So it was so funny. He said, all right, you're entering a room and there's a ring on the floor. In Swedish, the ring and circle is kind of the same word. And we were like, all right, we pick up the ring. And he's like, no, it's painted on the floor. I'm like, dude, come on. Just little misunderstandings like that.
Yeah,
all right. You want to go back to my gaming history?
I mean, sure we can, but I'm also interested because you just mentioned you don't have so much more time to game.
Yeah.
Do you prefer, when you actually game, when you find time, what's your go-to? Is it a tabletop? Is it gaming on like a console or PC, or is it mobile gaming?
So usually what happens is, my group of friends, most of them they're all married and have kids and careers. Some of them don't. They're maybe still studying or just single. And some of they're really hardcore gamers. I mean, they play a lot, all night, all day. Like so I'm kind of always stuck. Whatever they're playing, I'm just downloading it, updating it, just doing it. So I'm kind of in the hands of them. Sometimes I suggest, like, can we maybe play this? They're like, okay, Paul, we'll do it for you, like 1 hour, but then we're going back to our game. I'm like, okay, guys, thanks.
Oh, what's their go-to game nowadays? Like,
I don't know. I mean, for my group, the thing that we always circle back to is PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds, like PUBG. It's a battle royale game. It started the whole genre. There's no other game I've played that gives me that adrenaline rush. When you're like in the top 10 or top 5, maybe for the people who don't know what it is, it's like you're 100 people dropped off on an island. You have no weapons, no armor, nothing. You have to scavenge and find stuff, and then you kill each other. And the difference is, compared to other shooters, when you're dead, you're out. Like, you're dead. You're out of the game. So, and it becomes, it's like that movie, the King of the Flies or something like that. Battle Royale. There's a movie called Battle Royale. And then when you're in and also the whole map, there's a zone that shrinks. So all the players are like pushed together. The first part is like the size of, maybe not Stockholm, but like half of Stockholm. But then, it just shrinks and shrinks. And it finally is just like a small house. And you're like 2 people left. And you're literally
it forces you to fight.
Man.
It forces you to fight. Yeah. I still to this day remember my one and only, sadly, my chicken dinner.
Congrats,
chicken dinner, for those who don't know, is when you actually win in PUBG or PUBG and remain like the last remaining survivor. I'll just never forget it, because I still have the memory how we were fighting in the warehouse. People were surrounding us. We actually managed to fight them off and we won. And you get like those chicken dinner. Wow.
And so I mean, you were shaking, right? Or you were, it's like you were on some drugs or something. Like you're so euphoric.
Yeah. Yeah. The adrenaline rush that you get is just amazing.
Yeah. So that's mostly what we play. But then let me think. We do try, we try Diablo 4 a little bit. It didn't really stick, but we're huge Blizzard fans. And occasionally we just hop onto StarCraft 2. It's kind of fun. And let's see what else we have. StarCraft 2. We played PUBG. And before Diablo 4 came out, we played Path of Exile. That's also like an action RPG.
But it's interesting that you guys chose action RPGs as your go-to, because those type of games, at least to me, are always better solo.
Yeah. That's why we kind of quit it, because Path of Exile is very solo. We all went to the highest levels and got all the good gear, and I'm not. It's the exact opposite of Railroaded, because you have 1 million choices of how to build. But because the game is so complicated, what I do, I just find a guide and stick to it. I don't do any thinking on my own. Of course, how could I forget? So my friend is friends with the developers of Helldivers. Wow. Helldivers 2. And I got to meet them a little bit on Discord. So we were actually playing the beta for a long while. And I was completely in love with that game.
It is amazing. Of course I have. Did you send democracy to the aliens? No, it is an amazing game, honestly.
That was, for me, that felt like this is the next generation of gaming. I had never seen anything like it. I haven't played Destiny. True. Some people say it's a little bit like Destiny. That was really huge. But then, I don't know, one of the guys just didn't like it. So like we just rushed ahead. We were all level 50 and he was just level 1, and it kind of died out. I don't know. I heard I'm in the communities. I'm on the Discord. I see they've done some huge updates now that people are loving.
They did. And I'm really happy that they did, because it's a game that really deserves its success, in my opinion. And while I understand it is extremely hard to make a good live service game. It is extremely, extremely hard, mostly because how people enjoy content nowadays. It's not like in the past. I'll take, let's say, for example, a new expansion in World of Warcraft. That's also a huge difference. In the past, you'd actually go explore, do the side quests, slowly level up, get your gear. But now it's, no, I have to get to max level. I have to start trading. I have to do Mythic Plus. I have to, oh no, you are doing bad, immediately disband the group, find a new one. It's extremely, extremely hard to make a live service game, which would actually make everybody happy. And the worst part is that the people who are consuming that content almost in a day are the most vocal about it.
Yeah.
And people then would like, oh yeah, you see, it's like very bad reviews. But it's not. It is bad for people who have 15 hours a day to game. Correct. But you are not the targeted group patient. Like, you have to take it slowly.
Yeah.
But no, and that is the biggest issue. It's that people are giving you how you need to play.
Yeah.
YouTubers, guides, forums, everybody's telling you, yeah, in order to get to max level quickly, do this. In order to get the best gear, get this. And then once you get that, you're like, okay, what now? What now? Give me more. But you never even experienced the content because you just found a carrot and started rushing to it.
It's all about min-maxing. I mean, sure, there's a charm to that, but you have to be aware of what you're doing. You're missing like half the content. And it is like that meme. It's so funny. Like someone gives a Steam review, like 1 star, terrible game, and then it's like played 15,000 hours. Like, bro.
Won't recommend.
I have one advice for whoever's listening to this. If you enjoy a game or a hobby, whatever you do, don't go to that Reddit community.
Oh, yeah.
That is my number one advice, because people are just complaining. And I feel bad for the Helldivers developers. Like, yeah, they were suffering from success. They were planning on 70,000 people maximum per hour. On the release, they had like 700,000 or even 1 million people playing, I think. Of course, their servers are going to explode. I mean, and they're still a small studio. Sure, they're backed by I guess PlayStation, but they're a small studio. It takes time. People just they have no patience, and I think they are really listening to the community, and
they really are.
I hope that they understand that like you were saying before, like the most vocal people are not representative of the large player base, and if they are just going to keep them happy all the time, they're never going to be feel like they're doing something successful. But I think they know this.
So right. Yeah, I really hope they do. But this new update that they released, kudos to them. It's an amazing update, really suggesting anybody who would like a really good shooter, hop in, enjoy, hop out, which is, for me at least, it's extremely important to have a game that I can hop in and do something and leave to work, do chores, because I don't have the time to sit down and play for 8 hours. I would love to. For example, Black Myth Wukong. I still haven't gotten to playing it.
Right.
Because I just can't find the time to sit down and play it. It's not like a quick session. Yeah. And then I'm also a bit tired of those like From Software type of games. I'm just tired of dying. To be completely honest.
Right.
But you mentioned something which also resonates with me. You are a Blizzard fan, which I am myself. What do you think about this new approach that Blizzard is taking? Do you see that they are becoming better, because they had several scandals in the past?
Yeah, of course. Well, I don't want to get into it. I don't know so much about the like gaming corporate politics stuff. I just know they were bought, right, by Activision.
True. Mm-hmm.
Still, I think they're doing a lot of good games. Wherever I'm playing a Blizzard game, it feels like it's pretty finished. There's not that many bugs. Everything is kind of thought out. They put a lot of money. What I think they do really well in their RPGs, like World of Warcraft and Diablo, is the sounds. That was the first thing. And when I was playing Diablo 4, I was just listening to all the music and the sounds.
Yeah, the ambience and everything. It just takes you in, really.
We do sometimes play Overwatch. I'm terrible at it, which is funny because I'm an okay FPS player, but there's so much strategy and skills.
It's different.
So I guess they're ventured into that. I'm a Magic player. I played a lot of Hearthstone before. I think that was cool that they did that. But as a company, I think they're gonna be okay. I mean, they're huge. They know how to. StarCraft 2 is still alive and well. But yeah, you were talking about time basically. Mm-hmm. So when my kids were born, 2014 or 15 and 16. Sorry. Mm-hmm. What I did. So I've been a PC gamer then from, my teen years into my...
Of course.
I actually just went out and bought an old PS3. And speaking of like pausing and short sessions, what I did, I decided I'm going to play through all the Assassin's Creed games.
Okay.
So that was, for me, I'm a big nerd I'm a sucker for storytelling and like epic storylines. In Diablo 2, when you go between acts, everyone are just skipping it, but I'm just sitting there watching.
Yeah, because Blizzard does extremely good cinematics. Like, that's one thing you cannot take from them.
It's
they do
amazing. People on Discord are like, "Where's Paul? God damn it!" Like, he's watching the movie for the 50th time.
Just muting you.
Shut up, guys!
Shut up.
Came at last so to a great hall, So anyways, I played through Assassin's Creed. I thought that was fun. I tried playing Battlefield on the controller. It felt weird, but I really enjoyed it. Even though the first Assassin's Creed is kind of clunky, it's not that good of a game. I just love the setting. So I played Assassin's Creed 1, 2, all the expansions to Assassin's Creed 2, and then 3. And then everyone were saying that Black Flag, Assassin's Creed 4, it's the best one. It's amazing. I don't know, man. Maybe it's because my life didn't really give me time, because I feel like I've restarted that game. I played it on PS, then I restarted it on PC, and then when the Switch came, I got it there. I've been playing the first 2 hours of that game 5 times, and I'm just sick of it. I don't want to steer around to some pirate ship. I don't care about cannons and ships. I want to jump around and assassinate people.
True.
Have you played?
But I have played, and the one thing I could never vibe with Assassin's Creed, the early adoptions were amazing, and I loved them, like Ezio Auditore, goated. But the newer releases, it seems to me it's like the same game, just a different environment. Right. Like it's like, for example, the one with Vikings. Yeah. To me, is the same like the one in Egypt. Just like a totally different setting, but it's like the same game. Yeah. And also, one thing that I know you mentioned, you don't want to go into politics and like how corporations deal with it. But I've recently also started looking at how does the corporation treat the gamer, like the consumer. And I really cannot get behind what Ubisoft is doing and how they are behaving. Like the quote, like, gamers need to get used to not owning their games. I hate it. And obviously people hate it as well, because people just stop buying games. And the stock have indicated a huge loss. They're, I think, currently at $1.98. Yeah. If they go below $1, they'll just be removed from the stock market, essentially. So I don't know why, but I know why. It's a corporate greed. I know why but I don't understand how, because you have games who have been crafted with passion and who have so many sold units that the gaming company doesn't even know what to do with it. Yeah. I mean, Helldivers is a prime example of a game being made by people who love gaming. Yeah. And the gamers or the consumers saw that, realized it, and bought it, played it, and they are amazing. So you can obviously do good games. You can obviously make good games. But the problem is that games nowadays actually tend to have release cycle like phones. It's like, every 7 months I have to release a game. No, you don't, man. Nobody cares about it. I know that because even like before, you would have like, this year, like these 4 games are releasing. Then you plan ahead your budget and everything. But now it seems like every second month, a gaming company is asking 90 euros from you. Yeah.
So I think Helldivers is such a good example of that. I mean, it was priced at what, $30 or something?
At $39.90,
when was the
I think,
last time you paid that for a whole game?
Yeah, that's a DLC nowadays.
Yeah, right. So I think Diablo 4 came at the same time. That was like $70 at least, and then you can buy this extra bullshit packs with
100 euros.
I mean, 120 euros for a game. You have, I do as well. I have that weird emote, wings, man, busted. But anyway, and Helldivers, and there's also not really any pay-to-win element in it.
Exactly, which I love.
You can buy that Warbond stuff, but what's cool is like you can also farm the currency for that inside the game. And I think that also gives a lot of trust, from the community towards them.
It really does.
And it's been a huge success. And I hope PlayStation or whoever's looking at this as a business case realizes that this is the way to go.
Agreed. Yeah. Agreed. But how does your current outlook look like? Well, 2 kids, especially in that age, They require a lot of time.
Yeah, I mean, I'm 37 now. I've realized, like, if I am gaming all night, sleep for 1 hour, my next day it's gonna be terrible. Like, it's gonna suck. My wife's gonna be pissed at me because I'm tired. Like, I'm not gonna be able to perform at work. So so what I did, I'm not gonna go into my career, but I did a 4-year, like, very intense, like, big project.
Wow.
And when that was concluded, I was like, all right, I have to treat myself. And I just had like it was like a gaming laptop, but still just a laptop. I was like, I'm going to buy a whole rig, I'm just going to do a setup. I didn't have a huge budget, but it's a good GeForce, 3070, all this flashy stuff. Perfect. And I bought all that stuff, like a good screen. What is it? 36 something inch. I don't know, 34.
That's huge.
And here's the funny thing. So my friend, he was like, hey man, maybe you should start streaming. Kind of as a joke, because he knows that I'm crazy. Whenever I don't think, I just go ahead. So I was like, yeah, man, why should I? Okay, screw it. Let's do it. I bought this microphone. I bought this stupid lamp. You can change colors. Let's see here. There we go. Maybe, yeah. And I did a lot of communications and PR work. So I just got, my name is Papa Paul TV. I just went on Twitch and YouTube and TikTok, and I just bombed everything with my channel. Wow. I was like, and this was kind of awkward for me because like I have a lot of like super professional friends, like they're high level in business and politics. But I was on Facebook, like, can everyone follow my channel? I need to get to 100 followers so I can become a Twitch partner.
I need to be affiliate. Yeah.
And the funny thing, I still didn't take it that seriously. But one day, my son, who was like 7 at the time, he just came home and he just saw all the stuff. He's like, what is this, Dad? I was like, yeah, I'm just going to do some streaming. He's like, oh my God, my dad is a streamer. My dad is a streamer. He calls for my dad is a YouTuber. He's a streamer. And for the first time, it's like 7-year life, he really looked up to me. And I was like, shit, man, I have to take this seriously now.
And did you?
So, well, I kind of tried to. So I was streaming Path of Exile, PUBG. And I never got any huge numbers at all. I became like an affiliate. I think I got like over 100 or whatever the threshold is. And it was kind of funny because like random people would still come in and chat a bit and ask like, can we play together? I was like, and for me, I've been working hard. I have kids. I'm married. This whole like Twitch and Discord era, it's a whole new world for me.
It's hard. Yeah, it's hard.
It's not that it's hard. It's just like, wow, this is gaming now. And I think it got accelerated in COVID when people are sitting at home. We were talking about Dungeons and Dragons. I understand from my other nerdy friends that playing, on Discord is a huge thing. And people, I was like, it's like a boomer brain, like, wait, you can play Dungeons and Dragons on the computer? That's so smart,
Exactly.
So that's, and again, there were so many girls. I thought that was really cool. It's not just like this sweaty guy community anymore. But yeah, I never really made it as a streamer. And then after like 3 months, I was like, this is embarrassing, So I just took down everything. But there's some clips of me getting a chicken dinner with some guys. That was fun. And and it became like every Saturday, my son was like, can we stream? Can we play together?
Yeah, that's so cute.
Yeah. So
that's amazing.
His gaming life, he has a Switch where he played through all the Super Mario Odyssey. There's a new Super Mario Wonder. It's amazing. Like you feel like this is Nintendo at its best. It's such an amazing game.
Happy to hear that.
Yeah. Together with his little sister, we played Just Dance, and, of course. And for him, the big ones has been, of course, Minecraft. I never played Minecraft,
extremely popular.
But with him, that was also a whole new kind of game for me.
Yeah, like, that's Lego for kids nowadays.
Yeah, and again, it feels a little bit like Blizzard almost, because the atmosphere, the music, like we still remember our first world together. Like we remember it fondly. We built like a cabin by the water. We had fires, and we found some dogs, and then eventually we ran out of resources, so we figured out we have to travel to a village. So we had to pack everything up, and those worlds are huge. So we were traveling for I don't know how many minutes or hours, and eventually we found a village, and we've made a new home, and we were both kind of sad because we missed our own home. And it's so cool. You can play on the Switch, you can play on the iPad and the computer.
Yeah, it is. It is really amazing. But it's also, I mean, I try to be a streamer as well.
Yeah.
So also got to affiliate. Got, I think, around 10 to 15 people on average.
That's nice.
Looking at, and I felt so happy because you actually have people from all over the world.
Yeah.
I mean, Twitch is huge.
Yeah.
And they chose to come to my channel to talk with me. I was extremely happy. But then the issue is that in order to be successful at Twitch, you really need to grind it out. You need to be consistent. And I'm bad at doing marketing.
Yeah,
for myself.
I guess
least.
you have to edit those clips and put them on TikToks and all that
True.
stuff.
And I don't use that. True. Yeah. I don't use it. I'm like the YouTube guy. So I love to speak with like random people. I love to hear their stories. I love to chat about it. So, okay, what's the next thing for me? Podcast.
Yeah. All right. Cool.
So that's how this even came. It's like my wish to actually connect with people who are like-minded in this hobby called gaming. And especially now, because the reason why I didn't stream is I don't have time. So I assume that also people who have certain wishes, be it streaming, be it gaming, let's talk with them. So that's how this whole thing started. But the new generation, and I think, and it's funny because I always was feeling weird when like my father wouldn't understand my jokes or our trends and everything. And then I see like my sister has a kid. I can already see certain trends that I don't understand. I can't get behind them, but they make perfect sense to them. Yeah, they make perfect sense to them. I'm like, wait, am I really old? But I don't feel old. Like what's happening? It feels like overnight, the whole paradigm shift has happened. Yeah. And I'm not hip anymore. I don't understand anything. No,
I gave up on that a long time ago.
True. So it's extremely weird, honestly. But especially now, gaming can actually be a career nowadays. Yeah. Like streaming is a legit career. I know people who are making a lot of money.
Sure.
And that's really amazing. Like, I would wish to actually be like 10 years younger and have it now. But actually had to start working. I
also think it's a lot of work, man. I mean, can you imagine you're sitting, I mean, at a regular job, maybe some days you don't even really feel like meeting customers or coworkers. Here, you're on TV all the time. Like, you have to have a special personality for that. And like this whole like cancel culture is like, it's so easy. You just say the wrong thing once. I mean, everyone's human. You say that one stupid thing and you just, you get bombed. Then, of course, I mean, with like Dr. Disrespect and all these people, we have legit scandals where people are, doing really bad things. Sure, kick him out. But other than that, like everyone has such high standards for everyone. I think it's hard if you're streaming, like if you're online 10 hours. I mean, already in this session, I probably said something I shouldn't have, but if you're online all the time.
Probably. So, but the problem is we are not, I mean, you and I are obviously not wired to notice that something bad has been said because I don't think it's bad because I'm not hating on anything, just like my random opinions, like a word. And this also comes back to the whole discussion we had about people expectations to gaming companies. It's like the bigger you are, the harder they are listening to like one small thing that you say. Oh, no, cancel them.
Right.
It's hard.
And it's interesting because our generation, we grew up on, South Park and Family Guy. So there's like nothing you can't joke about.
True.
Right? It's so funny. And now there's stories about like, millennials are getting offended by Seinfeld episode. And we're like, whoa. Where are these millennials? Are these millennials with us in the room? This is bullshit. That's not our generation. That's the next generation.
True.
I mean, some of the jokes. I mean, I had a friend who was Jewish, and South Park. It was insane what we put him through. That wouldn't fly in his school today. I think he thought it was funny. He played along, and or other kind of jokes. I mean, I'm in Sweden, but I have, this dark hair. I look like this. I mean, there were some seriously racist jokes going on in like fourth grade between us, but nobody took it personally. It was just like South Park. And I understand the climate has changed, and of course, back then there were these structures of racism and misogyny that people weren't aware. So maybe it's easy for us to say, but I think all in all, maybe it's a good thing. But what I hate is this, like, people are so quick; they just want to rage about things. You know, they want to
Immediately.
start
It's like pitchforks immediately.
campaigns. Yeah, I have. It's a sensitive subject. It's a sensitive example, but my daughter has a disability. She has Down syndrome, so I'm in those communities. And there's this mom. She's a really strong mom, and she's good, but she's also very into, like, going into the news and writing debates, and I would say 99 times out of 100 she's fighting for a good thing. But again, going back to this whole South Park thing, I know this is a little bit off topic, but there in the Swedish radio, there's this, like, comedian. She's an actor, and she's really making fun of this whole, like, Instagram babe persona, right? She's like, she's really good looking, and she has this, like, huge, but she's just talking about how she feels like she's overweight, and she always does this, like, stupid stuff, like she gets drunk and then she wakes up in, I don't know, Belgrade, no idea how she got there. And she's just making fun of this stereotype, right? And the language she's using is also quite offensive. Like in Sweden, kids today, and even in my day, if someone, you have this cerebral palsy, I think that's in English, like CP.
Yes.
I don't think kids today are really use that, but when you were stupid, you didn't think about it, you would say something. It's like retarded, like something is really CP, right? And that's bad. That's terrible. But the thing is, this kind of like South Park. What she's doing is, it's like Cartman. Cartman is a terrible person. And the thing, if you just think around it, like what the creators of South Park want to do, they want to show you that this is an asshole. Nobody should be like him. And this comedian is doing the same thing. Like, these young, irresponsible girls and boys are idiots, and she's acting as an idiot.
Exactly.
But this mother, she didn't like that. She was just against using that word at all, right? So she started a huge, like, campaign, and she went out and she wanted to cancel that woman. And I was like, do you even understand that this is an actor? Like, this is theater. Like, if you watch a movie from, let's say, the 30s in America, and someone is treating a black person badly, do you want to cancel that movie? No, you want to, it's part of the story. And so I got in, like, a heated debate with her on Facebook. And it kind of made me look like the bad guy. It's like I'm defending the use of that word, but it's complicated. I think that's generational. I think the next generation kind of don't understand the thing. When you're making fun of something, you're not making fun of the thing, you're making fun of the person, because they're an idiot. Like, It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, they're terrible, terrible people in that show. And they do the most heinous stuff. And it's funny, not because of, what they're putting other people through. It's funny because they're so stupid. I don't know. Sorry. I just, that was an example.
I mean, no need to be sorry. That's amazing because sadly, we as community, as humans, are losing the middle ground. It's just like the spectrums of yes and no. There's like no, maybe no middle ground to understand actually where something is coming from. But we are currently at the end of our session. So I would like to ask you something I always do with all of my guests is, I know you already shared one tip, but what kind of tips would you suggest to our guests or listeners? How can they better manage their time and actually get to enjoy their hobbies, be it gaming, be it whatever?
I think, especially if you're in like a relationship, if you're married, I think it's good to respect each other's different choices. And so my wife, she's not a gamer at all, basically. But we in our marriage, she kind of trusts, and she has respect that I want to do my own thing, and she sometimes wants to do her own thing. It's important for parents to have their own time and be yourself, not just be a father or mother. And I think what's important is so super boring tip, but actually scheduling stuff, right? So you have this calendar, and okay, on whatever Tuesday night we're having a gaming session. It's in the calendar, everyone can see it. We plan around it, and I think that's how you get fit time in. It's never going to happen spontaneously unless I want to live on zero sleep for a week, So
That's an
another
amazing suggestion.
and if you don't have a partner like that, you really have to work on your relationship and consider it. Never has
Correct.
my wife been like, "Oh, it's so stupid. It's just like games. Can't you grow up?" Or this the magic cards bullshit. Like never ever have I heard.
She wouldn't be your wife, right?
Yeah,
if she was like that.
Exactly. She just respects it. This is my thing. I do with my buddies. I think that's a good tip. And also once you have kids, you get them into gaming. It's the best thing, not the best thing, but it's one of my favorite things my son has. When I take an hour or two and I tell him, let's play something, and you decide completely what we're going to play, what I'm going to do. And it gives him a feeling of empowerment, and he's in charge, and he feels really like, loved by me. Like, Roblox.
That's amazing.
He plays
Yes.
so much Roblox, and there's a million games in Roblox. And I hear his friends, boys and girls, are so it's really cool. But they're like, they play a game for like 3 minutes, and they're like, all right, let's change the game. And they jump to another game. And with me, I get stressed out, but I'm doing it for him, and he feels really fun. And the best part now, which I hope there's an educational element to it, is we figured out how to make your own Roblox games.
Wow.
So for the first time, I'm actually letting him just sit at my computer. And I taught him how to use ChatGPT. So whenever he gets stuck, he can just ask the AI and it will tell him how to work around it. And he doesn't know it, but what he's doing is actually learning programming and world building. So he's making his own Roblox games. And I think...
And problem solving. Wow.
Really cool.
That's an amazing parenting tip right there. Wow.
Yeah. Dude, I have so many tips. The last one, we were talking about it, min-maxing. If you have a new game and you have time and you want to enjoy it, don't go to Reddit. Don't go to YouTube. No walkthroughs, no guides. Just discover it for yourself, right? If it's an RPG, let your first character be slow developing, stupid character. And then after you finish it, if you like the game, you can then go and min-max it and do the best. I think our time on Earth is short. Let's freaking enjoy the games while we can play them, right?
Wow. Honestly, I have a feeling I could go on like for hours with you
same,
because
man.
you are an
hour.
amazing guest. Thank you really so much for joining us today. And to all of our listeners, thank you for tuning in. This was Paul Philip, an amazing guest, father, husband, worker, entrepreneur, everything. So I'm really appreciating that you joined today. And I hope that I will have you soon again on this podcast, because you have so much more to tell. I can see like your experience is amazing. I've learned so many new things, and I'm extremely jealous about the LARPing experience you had, because I think that's like a core memory I would love to have. So really, thank you for joining.
It was my pleasure. It was really fun. Nice to be here. And I wish you good luck on this podcast.
Thank you so much. Thanks, everyone. See you on the next show of the Modern Gamer Podcast. Bye.